fans, the 2018 NASCAR Toyota Owners 400 will be on an extremely short week for the drivers and their teams, much like last year. This year and the last, the race at Bristol had to be completed on Monday due to rain, and with the Saturday race coming up at Richmond, it was and will be a very fast turnaround. Fortunately, the trek from Bristol to Richmond is a pretty short one by NASCAR standards, but modifications and adjustments will have to be done swiftly for those drivers hoping to run well on the 3/4 mile track with 14-degree banking in the turns. Coverage of the Toyota Owners 400 will be on Saturday evening, April 21st with a 6:30 p.m. start time and broadcast on Fox. The Toyota Owners 400 is the 9th race of the NASCAR season. Through 8 races, Kyle Busch is your runaway leader with 365 points. He is second in stage points and tied for first in bonus points for the playoffs. Joey Logano is a distant second with 306 points. Kevin Harvick, who has 3 wins this season, is third with 290 points, but he lost out on 27 points due to infractions and violations with his car during a post-race inspection in Las Vegas. Clint Bowyer is 4th, and Brad Keselowski is 5th. Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Kurt Busch round out the top 10. Austin Dillon only has one top 10 finish since he won the Daytona 500, but it appears that he will be taking away a playoff spot from a driver with more points. With 18 races left, there are 5 drivers with wins. We would likely need at least 11 unique winners to keep Dillon out, but the playoff points system could come into play. The race favorite this week is not a big surprise, as Kyle Busch tops the board at odds of 4-1. Busch has finished 3rd or better in 6 straight races, including back-to-back wins at Texas Motor Speedway and Bristol, so he's run well on 1.5-mile tracks, short tracks, and pretty much everything in between. Busch is a 4-time winner of this race, with victories in 2009, 10, 11, and 12. He actually hasn't won the fall race, but has 3 different second-place finishes. Along with his wins at Richmond, Busch has 11 additional top 5 finishes. He runs very well here to say the least, and is worth a bet despite the short price. The second favorite this week is Kevin Harvick at odds of 4.5-1. Harvick's lone win in this race came back in 2013, and he has 2 wins in the latter race in 2006 and 2011. Harvick has 5 top 5 finishes thus far, including 3 wins, and has picked up 4 stage wins as well. Fords are running pretty well this season with Harvick 3rd, Logano 2nd, and Brad Keselowski also in the top 5. Harvick has 3 straight top 5 finishes in this race, and 5 in his last 7 races overall at Richmond. Some guys excel on tracks of a certain length, but Harvick's wins are spread out across all types of tracks, and his short track record is surprisingly good. Denny Hamlin checks in at odds of plus 500. Hamlin is one of those drivers who tends to run better in tighter fields, whether on a short track or in a restrictor plate race. Hamlin has not won this particular race, but does have 3 wins in the fall race in his career here. He was 3rd in this race last year, which marked his best finish since 2012 in the spring race. He won the fall race in 2016 and was 5th last year. He's usually a threat on these short tracks, but the value may just not be there this week with this price. Martin Truex Jr. is a tough sell at plus 650, and so is Kyle Larson at plus 750. Most of Truex's best performances came on 1.5-mile tracks, and Larson is strong on the 2-mile tracks. That's not to say that these two cannot make their way to the winner's circle, but simply to say that the odds are against them. Larson did win at Richmond in the fall last year, but that is the only win at Richmond between those 2 drivers. Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano all check in at odds of plus 1150 this week. Logano won this race last year and was 2nd in the fall, in case recent form is your thing. He also won it back in 2014. Keselowski has 1 win in the fall race. Elliott doesn't have any wins. Logano is not a bad play this week as he has 7 top 10 finishes in 8 races this season, though he only has 2 top 5 finishes, hence his price. Clint Bowyer's win on the short track at Martinsville maybe is not that big of a surprise. After all, he has 2 wins on the short track here and seems to be a guy that is capable of runs like this in close races. He is at 15-1 odds and is probably the longest shot on the board, worth serious consideration.